Hey, what's going on, you guys? My name is Carson Rouse, and welcome back to Business Buzz, where we focus on business, entrepreneurship, and investing. Today, I'm going to be talking about how leasing a car works, compare it with buying a car, and tell you whether I think it is worth it. Around 30% of all the cars used in America are leased, and because there's so many people doing this, it must be somewhat of a responsible financial decision, right? Well, I'll let you decide that for yourself after watching this entire video. I'm going to be talking about exactly how it works. Again, I'm going to compare a bit with how you buy a car and the pros and cons of that, and then at the way end, I'm going to give you my personal opinion on the matter. Now, just to mention, this is not a video to roast you on how you're paying for your vehicle.
Boom. Roasted.
It's a free country. You can pay for it however you'd like. This video is intended to educate people on the benefits and drawbacks of certain ways of paying for a vehicle. So just take it at face value and take in the important information. And to be honest, in all honesty, there is no solid concrete answer that I'll be giving you. It's all relative to your situation, your needs, and your wants as a human being. But all I ask before we get started is to go down and make sure that this video is at 18 likes. That's all I want is 18 likes because the YouTube algorithm has no respect for this channel. So give it 18 likes to punch it in the face. So let's begin by talking about leasing a car. So the vast majority of the time when you do lease a car, it will be a newer car. The car could be brand spanking new or just a few years old, but there really is no purpose and no point in leasing a car that's more than 5 to 10 years old. Most people who lease cars just do it for the sole purpose of always having a new car. They get sick of having a car for a few years and they want something new in their life. Now, of course, this isn't the most frugal way of looking at things, but some people couldn't care less about that. Generally, a lease is a fixed term deal where you can keep that car for between 2 to 3 years on average. Typically, you're going to be restricted on how many miles that you're able to put on that car every year. Most of the time, you're going to be able to get at least 10,000 miles to drive per year, and you could get a few thousand miles more than that depending on the dealership. So if you are somebody who has a very long work commute or you love to travel in your car and just go on a lot of drives, a lease might not be right for you considering that you will be penalized for every mile that you go over. And you might be thinking, well, 10,000, 15,000 miles, that'll be plenty for me. But keep in mind that the average American puts around 14,000 miles a year on their car. So it's not as much as you may think. Now, these dealerships don't put a limit on you just to be mean or just to make money. The more miles that are put on a car, the more wear and tear is put on a car. You know, you guys all know this, but the more miles that are on a car, the more the car's value decreases. And of course, as you probably know, at the end of your lease, you will not own the car unless you decide to buy the car afterwards. But 90% of the time, if you're going to buy the car afterwards, you may as well have just financed it or bought it outright. One of the big perks of leasing, though, compared to financing a vehicle, is that you will be making much smaller monthly payments. You're also only going to be paying state sales tax on the payments and not on the car's total value, which is great. And honestly, some states you don't even get charged sales tax, so congrats to you. Now, your monthly payments on your lease are going to be determined by three main things. Number one is the projected depreciation on the car over that term. Number two is the term length. And number three are the dealership fees that they are going to bombard you with. There's also a money factor derived from the rent charge that you will be paying on these extra payments. It's basically like the interest charge, but it's technically not considered interest, but it really is. But before I move on to buying a car, let's overview a simplified example. So you lease a newer $150,000 Lamborghini on a 3-year deal. The car is projected to be worth around $100,000 by the end of your lease. So you'll then be making monthly payments on this $50,000 along with different rent charges and dealership fees. At the end of this term, you will have no car. The dealership gets the car back. You will also have a $50,000 hole in your pocket, and your 3-year little stint of entitlement will be vanished. Now let's talk about buying a car. Now, of course, I'm not going to be talking about buying a car outright with cash, but if you do have the means to do this, this is probably the most financially responsible way to buy a car, period. In this situation, you would want to buy a car around 5 years old in good condition that's, doesn't look the best, but you can get it for a good price, has good mileage, and just ride that baby till the wheels fall off. That honestly is the best thing that you can do with a car financially. Similar to a lease, when you're financing a car, you're going to be making monthly payments for around 2 to 3 years before that car is fully paid off. Many people choose to stretch this out even more and make loan payments for around 5 years. Now, you will be making a lesser monthly payment, but over time you will be paying more in interest. So the shorter time frame that you can afford, the better. Now, your loan payments are going to differ depending on the car's value and your down payment. The interest rate can also be a factor in how expensive your monthly payments are. An interest rate is not always set for the same person. Dealerships may charge a different percent, and also your credit score has a big deal in deciding your interest rate. The better your score, the lower the interest rate. Once you pay all your loans and make all your payments, the car is now yours. But keep in mind that throughout this whole process, you're going to have to make sure that you keep up with all the maintenance. A lot of times with leases, they'll do all the maintenance for you, and someday when you want to sell this car, you're going to be in charge of that. You have to sell your car yourself. Now, here's a little small simplified example of financing a car. Let's say you want to finance a $100,000 Ferrari California and you make a down payment of 30 grand on a 3-year deal. Assuming your interest rate is at a respectable 3%, you're going to be making monthly payments of around $2,000 for the next 3 years until you own the car. So your total loan amount is going to be 70 grand, but you're going to end up paying around 73 grand because they got to make money. But keep in mind, with both leases and financing, you can reduce the cost of purchasing or paying on your car by trading in your previous vehicles. Now let's talk about what's best for you. Here's a quick illustration as to how I see the difference in paying for a car for your average Joe. Number one, buying a car outright will generally be the best decision financially. Just buying it outright with cash and just riding that baby till the wheels fall off it'll definitely save you the most money over time. The bad part about this though is that if you're not rich, you're gonna end up getting the worst looking budget vehicles. You're not going to be picking up any ladies pulling up in your 1995 Ford Aspire, but at least you'll be saving money. Financing a car and then riding that baby out for around 5 to 8 years will get you a decent looking car and a decent financial situation that you've put yourself in. Now, nobody's going to be turning their heads when you pull up in your 2014 Honda Accord, but nobody's going to be laughing at you either. Lastly, leasing a car is generally the worst financial decision that you can make when paying for a car. However, it will get you the best looking, newest cars. In general, the higher that your standards are and the more new cars that you're going to be wanting every year, the more leasing seems like a better financial option, because it's way better to lease a car for a few years and then get a new car than constantly be buying and selling your cars. Now, with my final opinion on the matter. Because I preach being frugal on this channel and I constantly strive to reach financial independence, I gotta recommend that you either finance or buy a car when paying for a vehicle. Now again, you gotta consider all the things I said in this video to figure out what's best for your situation, but that in general is my best advice. If you took something of value from this video, make sure to go down and hit that like button. If it's not at 18 likes, I don't know what's going to happen to you. Anyway, go down, subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next Business Buzz video.